Using the cruise control on the highway is really quite simple. You set it on the speed and then you set and forget. A lot of people aren't using the cruise control in the city because it's difficult to remember to stop, start and how to interchange. So the purpose of this video is to use the cruise control within a built-up area and have a look at the various situations that you're in and how you activate it. Because once you've learned how to use the cruise control in the city or in built-up area, it's really quite good. I hope it's not too boring, but it is difficult to go through all the different scenarios without a bit of boredom in between. But I did cut out most of the boring bits, I hope. Cruise control is either off, on standby, or activated. You can tell which it is from the icon on the screen. If there's no icon there, it's obviously off. If there's an icon there but it's greyed out, that means it's on standby. And if it's green, that means it's activated. Okay, so as you can see, it's turned off at the moment. The cruise control's turned off, so we turn it on. So now it's on, but it's not activated. To activate it, we now have to push this button up, and now it's activated at 50. I had preset it to 50. So we're coming up to a set of traffic lights. We're coming up to a set of traffic lights. The car in front slows down, as we do. And we come to a near stop. Now it takes, if I'd stopped for 3 seconds or less, it would have continued. So we'll just see what happens. Okay, so it's now coming up to 60. So when the speed changes, according to the manual, it gives you the option to adjust the speed, and then there'll be a little message down here. It's now this is one of the problems. We're coming up, there's traffic lights ahead, and now it's not so bad this time. Quite often it brakes quite heavily. I'll probably have a better example of that. But notice we're just moving now because the 3 minutes wasn't up. It stopped. 3 seconds, I mean. 1, 2, 3. Now we have to push the accelerator to start again. Now if I push the accelerator, look what happens. It goes. It's pretty jerky. Okay, now here's a problem. I've got a red light and I'm just following. Oh, now there are occasions when you're kind of closer and the car in front that you're following and you're copying the speed of goes through an amber light and leaves you staring at a red light at the entrance to the intersection, and you've got to slam on your brakes. So be very careful when you're coming up to a red light. You can't necessarily rely on the car in front to be stopping, and you might end up going through the intersection through a red light if you're not careful. Now I put my foot on the brake then, and as such I'm no longer in cruise control, as you can see. To get back into cruise control, you don't push this. All you do is you just push it down, and now we're in, sorry, we should have pushed up. And this is the problem. Remember all this. I also have the setting for comfort parking on comfort, and you don't get that jerky stop as much as if you've got it turned off. Okay, so we're coming up to a roundabout, so you really have to go out of cruise control to go into a roundabout. It's not very good to do that. So we're now out of cruise control. We're going to stay out of cruise control as we navigate the roundabout. Blinker on to say we're going right. So as you see, we're not in cruise control. Now, when we want to go back into cruise control, do we push this button here up or do we push it down? Let's think about that. Now we push it up, because we push it up, it will go back to the original speed, which is 70. If we push it down, it will change the speed to our current. So we push it up, and now it's at 70. We're only doing 56, mind you, but that's because the car in front. Now we're coming up to 80. We'll see whether it tells us or had any message. So is there a message down there? No such message. So we turn it up, pushing it up twice, and now we're on 80. We're coming up to a red light. Now this is okay for a red light because this guy in front's going to slow down, and we'll slow down with him. But if he wasn't there, if that car was just parked up ahead, and I'll probably show you later, it'll go up to about here and then slam the brakes on. So now that might be okay for you, not real good for your passenger or for your nerves, because you do worry, is it going to stop? So it's been longer than 3 seconds, so we will have to activate the cruise control again by touching the accelerator. I touch the accelerator. Now, whenever it's in cruise control, if you've got lane departure turned on, which you have it turned on in the settings, whenever the cruise control is on, you have automatic lane departure, or you're keeping the middle lane. If you turn it off and you turn on cruise control, you won't have it. You turn the lane control on and off from the steering wheel, as you can see here. Okay, now it's speeding up to its 80. Now I've got to be careful because if the lights turn red here, I've got to stop it. It's not going to stop by itself. I have heard reports where people weren't really concentrating, they went straight through a red light on cruise control. Okay, here we are, we come up to a red light, so I'll put the foot on the brake. I'll bring it to a stop. And now I'm no longer in cruise control. I've now stopped, I've got my foot on the brake, it's in drive. Now I can reactivate cruise control by, do I push it up or do I push it down? So it's actually pushing up. What happens if I push down? Right, I'll push up. Okay, there we go. So if I push up, it will return to the original speed that I'd set. If I push down, it will go to either the current speed I'm travelling at, but if I'm stopped, it will go to 30. And that's where some people can go wrong, because they set as traffic lights, they push down, the car they take off on cruise control and it won't go past 30, and they're not sure what's going on. And now we're activated at 80. I've got the energy regeneration set at standard. Okay, so what I'll do now is I go back up and then it takes off. So you see what happened then? I slowed down, but then the lights turned green. I slowed down with the brake. As a consequence, I was no longer in cruise control. To get back into cruise control at the right speed, same speed, I had to push up. Okay, so you push up to go what your previous speed was. Now, if your previous speed was nothing because you just started, it's the first time you've been in cruise control, your previous speed would be 30. So if you push up, you'll obviously get 30. But you get 30. And a lot of people fall for that. They go into cruise control, they press up, and then suddenly the car's, they're going along at, say, 60, and then they say, I'm going to go in cruise control, so they push up, and bingo, the brakes go on. Okay, so now I want to go back to cruise control. I'll go back to 80, so I press up. Sorry, 70, so I press up. Now I see that the speed limit's changed to 80, so I press up twice. So it really is that simple. Okay, so this is what I mean about suddenly stopping. So, look, we're screaming up here. Oh, there's no way in the world of it would have stopped, but it would have been pretty harsh. I'm sure you've experienced that if you've used the cruise control. Okay, so now we've stopped. We're no longer in cruise control. We're on standby. So we go back to 80 by pressing up, touch the accelerator, and we're off. So it's keeping its lane. It's keeping the lane pretty well. I can feel the steering wheel adjusting as we go around those corners. But if I was to take my hands off, as we will now, so it goes around, but it gets upset in a minute. So it does it very well, regardless of what those road test people say. It really does do it very well. Okay, we're coming up to roundabout. I'll put the brakes on because you can't go through a roundabout with on cruise control. It's really scary. Although it does slow down when it sees there's a corner. Not something I'd recommend. Okay, so now I had put the brakes on. I've got to go back into cruise control. So I push it up. And now I'm coming up to a red light. So do I have the guts to stop? Now, if you watch, far out. It would have stopped, but I would have been worried. That was fun, wasn't it, fellas? And I've got it set. I've got the how far to stay back, quite distant. So if I take that off, you'll see now that's much closer. I prefer to keep my distance. So that stopping is even with that distance being at its maximum. But if there's a car in front and it slows down, it's quite okay. But if you're coming up to a red light with a set of stop vehicles, it's really quite eerie, and I don't suggest you try it. But it will stop, maybe put you through the windscreen, but it will stop. Now, I don't know if you noticed, when it stopped, it regenerated a lot of energy, and I've got it on standard. Okay, I'm still in cruise control, so I touch the accelerator, and now it's off. 1, 2, 3. So after 3 seconds, there's a audible bip. That was the bip you just heard, and that tells you that you are no longer in cruise control. And what that tells you is you're not in cruise control. You're in cruise control, but what you have to do to get it going again is to push the accelerator. It's not going to take off by itself. Remember, it's 3 seconds. So when you stop and it stops, 3 seconds later, if the car in front starts up again within the 3 seconds, you don't need to do anything. It just takes off. If it's longer than 3 seconds, you get a pop, and I can't really do it, but anyway. And that tells you that you have to touch the accelerator to go back into cruise control. So now watch the kilowatts. No, turn it back on again. So what we're going to do now is go on a busy road, and it's busy not necessarily because of the traffic, but it's just a lot of roadworks. Let's see how good the cruise control is in that situation. So we're coming up to stationary vehicles, the blinker on, and as you see, it does try to stop, but well, it might be fine for you guys. I just find it scary as. So it's set for 60. I believe it's going to be 50 from now on. So if I was to push it down, so it goes to 30. Had I pushed it up, it would have gone to 70, and I would have had to flick it down. So remember, if you stopped and you push it down, it's going to go to 30. If you stopped and you push it up, it's going to go to your previous set speed. I might sound like I'm drumming it in, but it does take a while for that to become second nature. But when it is second nature, it's really good. When you're stopping and thinking, well, what was that? Up or down? If you turn it off, and then you turn it back on again, the previous speed it remembers. It only goes back to 30 when you turn it on after the car's been turned off. If you've gone off standby to actually turn cruise control completely off, you go back on again, it will remember what it was when you turned it off. Okay, so go back into 60. Do I push up or down? If I push down, it'll go to 30. If I push up, it'll go to 60, correct? Correct. So I'm at 60, I'm in cruise control. As soon as I touch the accelerator, it will go take over as cruise control. Well, that's probably it for your attention span. So all I want to do really is to show you how you can get in and out of cruise control when you're in the city. And to be careful around traffic lights. And I thought you might like to see a bit of the Gold Coast while we're doing it. Yeah, so I hope you learned something. Remember, to get back into the speed that you were, you press up. To go to the current speed, you press down.